Colonel Kurt Schlichter 3 times a week at Town Hall. He just wrote a piece that I think sums it up nicely for most of us who are sane. Stop caring about the silly signal non-scandal. He's on the road and made time for us this morning. Colonel, ahoy, good morning.
Ahoy, I'm glad you're not going to give me any more grief about how loud my amazing car is.
Your car sounds beautiful, but when you have your head out the window like a dog, that sounds terrible. So everything's fine now. I'm grateful.
I literally have my dogs Barky and Bitey with me.
What are you doing? You're in Oklahoma right now on the road, is that right?
I am in Oklahoma, and I am heading to my house in Texas, and just chilling and illin'. It's interesting being in a red state. Because I don't feel like everybody's trying to steal my money and put me in a gulag.
Hey, I haven't asked you about your governor there in California, Gavin Newsom. What do you? I've already shared my opinion on his little podcast offering. What's he up to there, inviting the Charlie Kirks and the Steve Bannons of the world on his little podcast? What do you think he's up to there? I think I know.
It's great that you asked, because my town hall column for today is about governor hairstyle. So go to Town Hall and you can get more details. But let me sum it up. I am perfectly happy to let him talk, including the conservatives, because he just digs himself deeper in with the communists, and none of us are fooled. I like the fact that he's having conservatives on. And there are some people who go, well, you're normalizing. Okay, you're platforming him. Okay, I don't do normalizing and platform. Those are commie weasel words that sophomores with blue hair and nose studs use. All right, so that's not in the K-Dog's agenda, if you know what I'm saying.
I agree. I think, here's my thing. I actually think that people like Bannon and Kirk have massive, obvious, successful audiences. I don't want any of them even knowing about Gavin Newsom's little podcast, because I think he has 2 people listening to it otherwise. That's my official position on it.
Well, he does, and the leftists don't like it. He's obvious by saying things like, well, maybe having a 300-pound gorilla playing, girls water polo isn't the best idea. This is like some giant compromise, and they're all like, oh, you're murdering trans lives. It's genocide. Yeah, whatever. He's obviously making a play, for the normal lane in the Democrat thing coming up, because the I'm as commie as humanly possible lane is going to be packed, especially if J.B. Pritzker wedges his enormous bulk in.
That's a hefty candidate there, if that's really going to happen.
Sir Mix-a-Lot looked at him and said, no, that's too much.
Colonel Kurt Schlichter on the road for us today. Town Hall, his column today, Stop Caring About the Silly Signal Non-Scandal. Let me play for you a little bit of CIA Director Ratliff from the House Intelligence Committee hearing yesterday. I would love to get your response to this in 12:08, talking about this classified material that was allegedly transmitted in this signal discussion that this Atlantic editor-in-chief was included on. Here's how Ratliff dealt with it yesterday.
There's so much talk about this Atlantic article and about things that were said and that could have happened instead of a focus on what did happen. So my responsibility as CIA director, one of its responsibilities is to kill terrorists. And that's exactly what I did along with President Trump's excellent national security team. That's what we should be focused on. With regard to that article, I also would appreciate the opportunity to relay the fact that yesterday I spent 4 hours answering questions from senators as a result of that article that were intimating that I transmitted classified information because there were hidden messages. Those messages were revealed today and revealed that I did not transmit classified information, and that the reporter, who I don't know, I think intentionally intended it to indicate that. That reporter also indicated that I had released the name of an undercover CIA operative in that signal chain. In fact, I had released the name of my chief of staff, who is not operating undercover. That was deliberately false and misleading, and I appreciate the opportunity to reflect that my answers haven't changed. I used an appropriate channel to communicate sensitive information. It was permissible to do so. I didn't transfer any classified information. And at the end of the day, what is most important is that the mission was a remarkable success, is what everyone should be focused on here, because that's what did happen, not what possibly could have happened.
So, Colonel Kurt Schlichter, you heard that. You read the transcripts of the entire thing. Goldberg finally released it all. You know what communicating over various platforms to discuss military strategies and plans of attack and whatnot and movement. How do you read the transcripts of it all? Is Ratliff pretty spot on there or not?
So he's spot on. Look, I don't care. The Democrats are hyperventilating about this because this is the closest thing they've had to something they can hit Trump on. And, you know, after this remarkable 2 months of utter humiliation, they think, oh, we've got you now. And, you know, we're going to take a head. We're going to get a trophy. We're going to claim a scalp, says Elizabeth Warren, which is just a little too on the nose. And here's how I respond, which is exactly the same way Michael Corleone responded to Senator Pat Geary, which is, my counteroffer is nothing. You don't get anything, including any kind of, we're not going to, oh my God, I'm so sick of these spineless Republican tofu people.
Oh, the National Review guys, they want Hegseth fired. They think Hegseth should go at National Review.
Well,
you believe that?
I looked at some of the National Review stuff, and they're completely, objectively, they just don't know what the hell they're talking about. But here's the thing. You get nothing. No, you don't get a scalp. You don't get to win. You don't get anything. And I particularly love the Democrats out there going, well, I guess we're done with Hillary's emails. No, Hillary's emails set the standard for, first of all, she did something wrong. They never did anything wrong here. But if you want the standard for what happens to a senior leader when some sort of classified information shenanigans allegedly occur, well, they've created the rule. So, you didn't complain when you complained when Hillary did this. Yes, I did. You ignored me.
Yep.
So you've established a new rule. So even if we had done something wrong, which we didn't, you get nothing. Nothing. Your ashes in your hands. You go home crying without pants. You get nothing.
And by the way, Donald Trump is not budging on this. There's no scalp that's going to be handed. Nobody's going to be fined. In fact, he commended. Let me just ask you this, because I am curious your take. There are people out there, and by people I mean Trump adjacent or Trump enthusiasts or conservatives, libertarians, whatever you want to call them. They're not leftists, okay? And they seem really focused on Waltz. Somebody also corrected me on that. They don't like that I'm conflating walls with Waltz. All right, so Mike Waltz,
jazz hands,
who is our
real man.
Some are suggesting that he's some kind of interloper, some kind of problem, some kind of potential traitor, or maybe the communications guy. They've got wives who are lefties or something. Anybody in this administration bothering you, or you think might be a problem internally?
No,
okay.
No, and that's not constructive. Look, Trump is hyper-focused on loyalty, as he should be, after, coming into office without a Rolodex in 2017 and being, serially abused like the prettiest new boy on the cell block for 4 years by a bunch of, Bush-adjacent losers. So if there was even a hint that this guy was soft, he'd be on a fast jet to outer Mongolia. So this, I'm playing devil's advocate here, not because I believe this personally. I'm just asking because I read it from other people who say, "Why did Walz add this guy? How did this guy end up in Walz's communications channel?" Don't know. Don't care. I do know that even I have sent emails to people I didn't mean to send them to. That stuff happens. I don't know. Yeah. He's going to figure it out to the extent there's a problem, but I don't admit there's a problem. Oh my gosh. If I hear one more soft thing, just admit it was wrong. Just admit it. No. No. A, we don't know it was wrong because we don't know exactly what happened. And B, I don't admit anything to anybody. See, here's the problem. okay? I'm a man. I'm an advocate. I want to win. I want my side to beat the communists. I want them to go home crying, broken and battered, to their crappy little condos and their cheap Chardonnay. I want them destroyed. I want them a smoking. I want Dresden to look at them and go, "Oh man, we got off easy." And the Wesley says, "No, we have to. My principles, my integrity. You don't have integrity. You don't have testosterone." God,
Bill Kristol just declared. Bill Kristol just declared on X, Pete Hegseth will be fired by tomorrow. I said, I'll take that bet.
Yeah, I'd take that too. Bill Kristol.
Put on your legal hat.
Good Lord.
All right. Let me. I'll pivot off this because I've only got a couple of minutes, and I want to put on your legal hat for a minute and talk to me about Judge Bagabones here and this back and forth over Tren de Aragua. Where's this headed? Do you think the Supreme Court weighs in? What's taking them so long? Do they need to? Can these district judges just... And by the way, let me ask, I'll throw on top of this, Mike Johnson is now appropriately discussing Congress maybe just getting rid of some federal judicial benches. What do you say?
I keep hearing about checks and balances. That's a check and balance. So is ignoring the courts. It's not expressed in the Constitution. It's just implied. I don't think we should do that yet. Look, the reason the Supreme Court hasn't taken it up is it hasn't gone to the Supreme Court. It just there was just some nonsense yesterday at the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeal. And it'll go to the Supreme Court. And, I wrote earlier this week on Monday. I've done a lot of writing this week. I wrote on Monday The Agony of John Roberts, which is trying to explain what John Roberts is trying to do. He has a plan. People are like, "Oh, he's corrupt because he was on the Epstein airplanes and all that nonsense." No. Occam's razor, baby. The simplest explanation is probably likely. He's an institutionalist who thinks he's protecting the judiciary. He's actually doing the opposite. He's just an deeply unwise, very smart guy, but he's totally unwise.
Right.
He's like the genius who forgets his pants when he goes to the 7-Eleven.
Roll your window down, get some coffee, drive safely there in Oklahoma. Colonel Kurt Schlichter, thank you for your time today, my friend, as always. 3 times a week at townhall.com. Ahoy, Colonel. God bless you. Thank you.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.